The following is a paid program by the Whitley Law Firm. Welcome to Attorneys on Call, the program that gives you free legal information from the Whitley Law Firm. Now, here's your host, Drew Smith.
And thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Attorneys on Call. We certainly welcome your calls at any time during the program. The 800 number on your screen, or you can go to whitleylawfirm.com. One thing we've talked about over the years on this program is something that's called the Whitley Advantage. We're going to get into that in just a moment, and you may have heard about that, but we're going to explain it in depth today with Bob Whitley and Ben Whitley of the Whitley Law Firm. And guys, it's always great to be with you.
It's nice to be here, Drew.
Good to be here.
Bob, explain the Whitley Advantage and how that relates to people that you've represented over the years and people that you will represent in the years to come.
Well, Drew, it's not a mysterious concept or advantage, and the way I look at it, it's kind of simple to accomplish.
Okay.
But I think if I were giving a definition, it would be that if you hire our law firm, you're going to get every asset that we have to pursue your claim and to represent you and to make sure you're done fairly. And that means, you know, we work as a team. We don't have different lawyers that take this case and they go off with it, or this, you know, we round table cases. We meet together as a team, and we've got some great lawyers, even some good ones besides me, you know, that we've got Ann Oxner, Whitney Butcher, my son Ben, Matthew Bissett. So we've got good lawyers. And then the next step is doing everything you can for a client. If a witness is mentioned on an accident report, we find that witness. We interview the witness. We want to know where they were and what they saw. If a vehicle is in a junkyard and we need the information on a piece of mechanical equipment that will indicate the speed of that vehicle when the airbags were deployed, we send an engineer out there to do that. I mean, it's all hands on board, and it's we're just doing everything we can. I don't know how to say that. And the other part that goes along with that Whitley Advantage is that we're going to treat our clients with the respect and dignity that they deserve. And that sounds kind of corny, but I'm talking about simple things like returning a phone call. You know, think about if you're in a bad wreck, you've got loved ones who are injured seriously, maybe somebody's even died in the wreck, and you hire a law firm and they won't call you back.
Yeah, that's
terrible. I mean, it's a time when we know our clients need the best service that we can possibly give them. And we treat it that way. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what I would call, you know, the Whitley Advantage.
Okay.
And we kind of pride ourselves on treating our clients the way we know that they should be. And we've got a lot of varied skills within the firm, and we just bring them all together.
Ben, how does that relate to certain claims around, let's say, pharmaceuticals,
right,
or even products like we're going to be talking about today, Roundup?
Yes.
Right? A product that I know I've got in my garage, and probably most people watching have it in their garage.
You know, and after that big verdict that came out of California, and I realized I'd looked in my garage and there's a half-used bottle, a big container of Roundup there.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of the news. There's been a recent verdict, a very big verdict, from someone that had developed cancer after continued use of Roundup. And so today on today's show, in a few minutes, we'll talk with Whitney, who has been traveling the country, meeting with lawyers all over the country that are kind of leading up the charge on these cases. And so she's got a lot of information that she's going to tell us about. And Essure, which is a permanent birth control device that has failed. And so how did the Whitley Advantage in that situation is that you're going to get us involved in the case and the expertise of the leading folks in the country that are going to join in with us to help you in your case. But you're going to have a local hometown law firm involved helping you navigate this, while the folks in the national scene are kind of doing some of the other work. Because when you when you have to bring a case against Roundup, which is owned by Monsanto and then has been transferred to Bayer, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations, multinational corporations. So they're going to have teams and armies and battalions of lawyers.
Absolutely.
So we've got to find the best and the brightest throughout the country, and we go and we meet with them. You know, we travel, we meet with them to make sure that we're bringing the Whitley advantage in for our cases for clients that have been harmed by Roundup or have the eSure device.
But if it means one of your attorneys gets on a plane and goes to California or goes to Utah or the state of Washington, that's what you do.
That's what we do.
Part of the
Whitney
job.
has had meetings all over the country to interview, because if we're going to bring in these attorneys to help our clients, we want to make sure that they have the same standards that we do as far as respect for clients and communication. So that's why we've screened them, that's why we've interviewed them, to make sure that the Whitley advantage continues in cases for the Roundup injuries and the eSure injuries.
Right. Bob, you talked about just basic things about returning a phone call and such, but what you're saying here is that every drop of energy that you've got, you're putting into that case.
Exactly, as if it were our only case. Because that client has only one case, and it is that client's only case, and we've got to treat it the same way.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because you've got a lot of cases, but you've got to make sure that you dedicate the time. And so I would think that having the Whitley advantage with a team approach that you were talking about is one way to accomplish that.
It is, and I guess it comes as such second nature to us.
Okay.
Drew. I'm not even going to admit that it's hard.
Okay.
It's what you've got to do.
I see. All right. Ben, we were talking about a Roundup, and Whitney Butcher's going to be joining us in a moment. Just kind of give our viewers right now an indication of that settlement that you talked about. A lot of people may not have heard about that.
Right. Well, it's been in the news. It was all in the national news, and it was a verdict. I believe it was $289 million, which included some punitive damages, compensatory damages, and it was really based on whether the connection between the cancer caused by the use of Roundup,
Exposure to
right,
Roundup.
and not warning. We're going to look at a bottle today, and I looked on it before the show, and there's no warnings about that possible cause, and there's just something about an eye injury. So I would invite everyone that may have heard about that verdict, that wants some more information, or may have had a family member that has had developed cancer, to tune in for the next segment, because we're going to talk about the different criteria, what the cases would be, and of course any evaluation of that case is a free evaluation.
So that first call, it's always free?
Always free.
Okay. Going to be back with Whitney Butcher, one of the attorneys with the Whitley Law Firm, in just a moment to talk about this fascinating case about Roundup.